What is going on, guys? It is time for another episode of the Chasing Waypoints podcast. We are back. If you heard the last episode number 206 with none other than Chris from MotoMinded, catching up on a little bit of the stuff in the rally world and what is happening and what is going on. That digital revolution, everybody headed over to digital road books now. The way forward is electronics. I think that's the plan. I don't know. Well, could always go analog, right? They did it in mountain bikes. You're either an analog or a not analog rider. Anyway, well, if you guys tuned into that show, you heard towards the end of it, we started talking about some of our Dakar rookies. Some of the guys headed over to the Dakar Rally. And well, today we're going to have one of them on the phone. We're going to have none other than Jordan Reed talking about his setup, his road to the Dakar Rally 2025. We are just a few months away from that happening in January 2025. Lots of changes up at the top with Austria thinning the herd. I don't even know how many riders they're down to. So we got that going on. We got a couple Americans going. Expecting to hear some news from the young gun, Mason Klein. Skylar Howes with an injury at the Best in the Desert race this past week, but looks to be on the mend already. That is tough, man. You can take a beating and keep on going. It's like an ankle injury. Looked a little bit bad, but it wasn't that bad in the end. But everything is going well. I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it summer where you guys are riding? Is it blazing hot? I am on Project Cove and making that one happen. And it has been a little bit of a journey. Working with the guys over at AHM, working with the guys at W. Man, who else have you been? Luxon, working on some stuff there. So I'm excited. I think we're getting quickly to the point where it's going to start just like snowball effect. Right? The front end is on. It's mocked up. It's looking good. I got the spacers figured out. The brakes stuff showed up today. Having to do some stuff. There's going to be some videos on YouTube about that. I've been recording it, kind of trying it a little bit differently in just basically recording all of the videos. And then by the time you guys start seeing them, the bike will already be done. Spoiler alert, right? But the idea behind it is that I want to also be riding it by the time that the show or the episodes of that are airing. So I have some better feedback and some better stuff. Like once, if I go through and do all of the suspension stuff and then all of a sudden it's like, well, how does it ride? I haven't ridden it, so I want to be ready for those questions and ready for all of that stuff. But man, it's proven to be a pretty solid bike. I'm excited, looking at the stuff, looking at how the bike is aged. What are the things that may be required, that may be needed? It's looking pretty good. I'm stoked. This is the first time I'm going, where I'm not looking for the all-out, billet hubs, the all-out, triple clamps, all of that stuff. I'm just looking to go stock plus, right? OEM plus. So some details that I would have liked to have seen on the bike, or more so making it just more mine, and the things that I prefer and the things that I like. So that's really what I'm after on that one. And it's coming together nicely. I've learned some stuff for sure. I've learned some of the stuff that crosses over, some of the stuff that doesn't cross over. So we'll talk about that a little bit more. So if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. So that way you get the updates and you get everything there and you'll get to see those videos. And as they are coming soon. Just trying to work and balance the adult life. It's one of those things. So I don't know. I think we're doing pretty good. Let's, with that being said, let's get our guest today on the phone. I don't want to ramble too much and talk about all these different projects, because then next thing you know, it'll be 2 hours into the show and we still haven't talked to Mr. Jordan Reed. So with that being said, let's get him on the phone. We're going to call the mobile. I told him I was going to be calling soon, so he better pick up. Jordan?
Hello.
What's happening, sir? How are you?
Good. How are you?
Yeah, doing all right. Doing all right. It's a, I don't know. I lost track of what day of the week it is.
Yeah, me too. I was supposed to be on more days off yet, and I have to go back tomorrow morning now, and then back on a night the day after. So I'm trying to get as much work as I can in.
Nice. Well, yeah, you've got there's something about this race or something like that going on, right? Kind of a big deal at the beginning of next year.
Yeah. I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but I decided to kind of sell everything I own and save up every penny I can and go chase a dream with Willem.
Nice. So that is, and we've heard this, and this is the start of a Dakar career for one person already. Just putting it all in, putting all the chips on the table, so to speak. So when did this? I mean, honestly, like I think I have a okay pulse on what everybody's doing in the rally world and all that stuff, and this kind of came out as a surprise. How long you've been looking at getting into the Dakar and doing all this?
Yeah, it hasn't. Well, obviously, you kind of get into rally and stuff. And my first rally was Sonora in 22, and everyone kind of always talks about it. And then I was grateful enough to be able to hang out with all the American Rally originals with Mo Hart, Paul, David, Willem, Kyle, and all those guys. And they kind of started talking about it. And I know Willem's been talking about it for quite some time. And I spent a lot of time with him. Whether it was running support for Baja Rally for Freedom back then or racing in 22 at Sonora. And I kind of just got the itch a little bit. And yeah, I kind of just said, you know what, maybe it's time I'll apply. I'll see how it goes. And I didn't think I was going to make it in there just because now the way that they have the point system, I kind of thought, well, I've only really got a couple points from Sonora. And I was a little bit worried about more or less they'd accept it or not. And sure, I'm surprised they did. I'm happy they did. And it's been kind of just flat out ever since you get that letter. So yeah, no, I'm pretty excited. So it's a lot more work than I thought it was going to be, just trying to get to a dirt bike race, but I'm assuming it's going to all pay off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, once everything stacks up. And so that's an interesting thing, right? Like a lot of people, like if you go in and you look at Google, right, you start typing any kind of questions about Dakar. One of the first things that comes up is like, how do I get into the Dakar? Well, you did, I think, kind of the hard part, right, is doing the application and getting all that. But what is it now? Okay, I'm in. What's the next big hurdle?
Well, it's like organizing teams and all that stuff it's hard. So my original plan, I was hooked up with Gus through Ace, and I was chatting with Philip there, and he was like such a huge help. Like he showed me exactly what my presentation should look like and what I should add, what I should take out. And he kind of guided me through step, and it helped. I think that really helped a lot getting accepted. And then, I kind of just rolled into, Alberta Power Sports. I ended up buying a Cove just for training to get used to the weight and stuff of a bigger bike and just kind of more or less get a shakedown on a proper rally bike. And through that came a pretty big surprise and ended up kind of getting picked up by Cove Canada. And then we're now moving along down and speaking with Jan with the Cove race team. And I kind of sounds like that's what we're doing now. So I'll be on a Cove for Dakar, which is pretty exciting.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
That's I know that's a big help. I mean, a lot of the guys, and you've talked to them, that question mark of, okay, we're in, that was something that we were talking about with Willem, is like trying to get a hold of a team, trying to get a hold of a bike, to make that happen. Is definitely a big challenge. So that's awesome to hear that Cove Canada is going to be supporting you well, and through Cove, official, right?
Yeah. No, it's awesome, and they've been wicked. Like Henry and Josh at Alberta Power Sports, they're like the importers for Cove up here, and they just they're taking such a huge stress off me. Like, they're dealing with so much more than I really am with the negotiations of the bike and all that stuff too. So it's been awesome. So I've now got, because I work quite a bit as it is at my actual job, and so now it's kind of any time I do get off, I'm able to train and able to do this. And yeah, no, it's been good. So I'm pretty excited. I just got the FSE Rally, not even the Pro, and I just got it because it was cheap, available, and man, like I really like the chassis. Like, I've rode RFRs and I've always been obviously a rally light guy or whatever, and I've been very impressed with the bike so far. And that kind of set it in stone, going, well, maybe I think this would be a good decision, and it also rolls into other opportunity down the road as well. So it just made sense.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been it's interesting, that one is that it has been a common theme with that. The overall package of the Cove is really, has really suited a wide range of riders. Guys that have been racing for years, that have been on factory teams and that have ridden them, and then the local guy. Everybody is content with it, which is awesome.
No, I think it's for the money. Like, I don't think you can beat it, and it's a capable bike. Like, even the non-rally Pro, like, I'll be taking that down to Baja, and I really like the bike. Like, I haven't had any major issues with it at all, and I've been riding it pretty hard and trying to figure out what's going to break on the bike. It won't be the exact bike that I'm on at Dakar, but I'm just trying to find out, like, hey, when I'm putting stress on this motorcycle, like, what's going to give, and it hasn't let up yet. So
nice.
Overall, I'm pretty impressed with it, and I think it's a good bike for a beginner to a pro to get on and get out and run some road books.
Yeah, got a little bit of everything. And so you just mentioned that it may not be the exact bike you're on. Is that you were looking at a Gen 2 for the Dakar, or are you going to be, or you're just referring to you're not taking your bike?
No, so I'll be on a factory 450 EX.
Okay.
But I'll be running my own as a privateer under my own program, just so I don't have to end up playing Waterboy for my first Dakar. Yeah, that was kind of the agreement I made. I was like, I want to make sure, I'm not giving someone a clutch plate, because this is the only time I'm going to be able to go.
Yeah. This is the one shot deal. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice. Well,
yeah. No, it's been good dealing with them. So no, I'm really excited for that.
Yeah. And so how did, you mentioned earlier about the Freedom Rally and working with the team and helping run support with them. Is that where the rally bug started, or was this before then?
Well, my first road book I ever ran was up here in southern BC. Clint Revere had a couple books printed, and I was kind of wanting to get into it, and I ended up getting into rally, actually out elk hunting with Moto Medic Mike. But yeah, he had a couple books, and I was like, well, I was pretty interested in doing it, and came out, ran that, and then we were all supposed to go down to Sonora together as a big Canadian group or whatever, and everyone kind of backed out last minute, and I ended up getting in contact with Happy Dave, who I met at Scott Bright's riding clinic in Colorado. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so they kind of linked me up with Robert at Freedom, and we kind of made a deal for me to run support at Baja Rally, and then in return, he would support me for Sonora. So came down, and I was a mechanic for Paul Neff. Got to get a good shakedown on how to work on an RFR, and then ended up going to Sonora Rally after that, which ended good and bad, I guess. But it was an awesome experience. Like, it's crazy. I pretty much lived in the States and Mexico for a month, and David Pearson and his wife took me in, and yeah, that's why I call him. He's my American uncle down there. I stayed with him, and we worked on bikes and went to races, so it was really cool.
Yeah, Uncle Pearson.
Uncle Pearson.
Uncle Pearson. Nice. Well, and that, it's cool because we've talked about it on the show a lot, and it's like, you go to a bivouac at any one of these events, and you're going to have a good time. Everybody's, really open. to what they're doing and welcoming. So it's cool to hear what you're sharing, that even from afar.
Oh, it's crazy, man. First day down at Sonora, I'm already pestering Mo. He's trying to work on his bike and trying to do road books and listen to music, and he's got a DeWalt fan trying to get rid of the bugs, and I'm in his ear just bugging him. Show me what you're doing here. I need to know. I want to learn. Yeah, I'm just ruining his night so I could gain a little bit of knowledge. And yeah, no, everybody, no complaints. It's wild. The moment I knew I was going, everybody's on board. It's almost like everyone takes a little bit of a burden off you, and they're doing absolutely everything they can to help get me to Dakar, which is just amazing.
That is awesome to hear. I mean, it's the team effort side of it, right? And especially from those guys. I mean, going out, getting the sponsors, getting all that stuff. It's by no means will it ever be an easy road to get to Dakar. Even the guys that are in, right? The Rally GP guys. It took a lot of work just to get to the point where it's it's a known thing. Hey, I want to enter the Dakar. Okay. It's not, you don't have to go through an application process. It's not a nail biting experience, as much. Obviously it's still a lot of hard work, but it takes a lot to get to that.
No, I think the hardest part's just getting there. You got to move mountains to get to Dakar. And, now that I'm in it, I see it, before you're kind of going, well, I guess you just flip the bill and go, but that's not how it is at all. And even if you're signing with a team that's kind of dealing with everything, it seems like it's just, they're making it harder and harder and harder to get there. Mm-hmm. And that's why I decided to do it. And I'd rather do it now than later, because I feel like it's only going to get harder. And, it takes a big load off the mind, knowing okay, I got accepted. Now it's the hard part, is trying to get everything organized, and even, booking flights, trying to figure out when people are going, when people are landing, so you can kind of maybe even bum a ride from Dubai or wherever people are going. And yeah, it's definitely stressful, but I think if a guy's going to do it sooner than later.
Yeah. Well, and that, and it's interesting, I've just been kind of toying with it, and even something as simple as that, okay, where do I go? Where am I supposed to land? You don't want to pick the wrong city, because now it's a 3-hour cab ride, just to get to the bivouac, only to find out that it was a 20-minute ride from the local airport. It's just, there's a lot of little unknowns.
Yeah, I'm currently struggling with that right now, trying to figure all that out.
Yeah.
They don't really give you a lot of information when you sign up. They just take your money.
Yeah. Congratulations. Here's your receipt.
Yeah.
But I have questions. Yeah. No. And yeah, I've heard a lot, but yeah. What,
yeah, you kind of just rely on other people that have gone just to get some information. Willem hasn't even gone yet, and I'm relying on him a lot trying to figure out what he's doing.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's absolutely wild. I've been, it's everything from getting there to insurance. I've been talking with Paul a lot about the insurance that he had to get there, and it doesn't end. Whatever days off you have in between work, it's all dedicated towards Dakar.
Yeah. Just trying to make, that's crazy. I mean, you think about the laundry list, all these little things that we don't know, that we are talking about now, right? I mean, something as simple as okay, where do I fly into? All right, well, insurance, how do I get out of there if something happens, or make sure that I'm covered, or, what am I going to take? What am I going to pack? What am I going to, it's an interest. And then somewhere in there, you still got to train, and you still got to ride a bike.
Well, that's just it, yeah. And finding time to do that, it just gets harder and harder. And, going down, I'll be doing Baja Rally this year. Scotty's really hooked me up with that, and super grateful for that. It's going to be an awesome event from what I've heard from Willem and David. And yeah, so that's going to be kind of my prime training right around there, because I'm damn flat out at work right now. So any little days you get off, like I say, you're kind of dealing with more of the paper side of it. And then, and then maybe about 2-3 times you get to go out riding every 2 weeks or something, just to kind of get the bike a good shakedown and get fit. And, you're riding bike after work and all that stuff too. It's definitely exhausting, but I think I'm young enough now, I can kind of handle it. Not well, but I'm doing okay, I guess.
We're just making it happen.
Yeah.
Thriving. and so that, that's an interesting point, is like, from the physical aspect of it, 14 days, 15 days of riding, 14 days, you get a rest day in there, of riding really, really long distances. Is there, like, now that it's a go, you're looking at like the physical side of it, strength and conditioning? I mean, are there things that you've done? Like, are there things that you've changed in your routine for that?
Yeah, a bit. Like I ride my road cycle quite a bit more now, but big guys always find a way to ride a bike very efficient. I've always been a bigger guy. Like, I've usually been up around 210 around there, and I'm 6'2", 6'3", and like, I don't know, I think a lot of guys have talked about it in the past, when you're like, you look at guys like Toby, like probably not in the absolute best cardio physical shape, but he knows how to ride a bike extremely efficient, right? So I'm pretty good with my confidence is up there for knowing that will be physically able to do it and maintain, a good, maintain well physically on the bike for 14 days, just because I've been riding more or less out of shape for pretty much my whole life. So that aspect, I haven't changed a whole lot. It's just really trying to figure out what could break, what you're trying to just run through absolutely everything that can happen out on the stage. So if I run into this issue and this breaks, like, should I be carrying an extra disc for a clutch, or what should I be doing? Right. That's more or less why I'm trying to get out on the bike as much as I can, just to figure out what I might have to carry. And you just want to plan for the absolute worst and be prepared. Right.
Yeah. And that, that's an interesting thing. Like, we've talked about that, when it comes to bike setup, and talking about, getting the bike comfortable to ride. But that's at the end of the day, it's the efficiency side of it. And what you mentioned,
exactly.
I would think that, it might be more taxing on somebody like, for instance, Mason. Mason, he's tall, but he's not big. Like, he doesn't carry a lot of weight. So what is rough terrain, the suspension setup and the way that the bike handles is probably a little more critical than it might be like for you having a little bit more weight in there. The bike's not going to want to unsettle as easily.
100%. Yeah. Like, it's a lot more taxing being a smaller guy, and not even necessarily like you say, not height smaller or anything, but when you don't have a lot of weight to throw that motorcycle around, it gets hard. Cause I can, in corners where he's going to have to really move his body or something like that to kind of get the bike to move over. I can just slightly kind of move sitting down to the side, and the bike's going to react a lot more for me. Mm-hmm. So I don't have to, I'm not moving around on the bike a lot. Whereas someone a lot smaller, with a lot less weight, is going to be exerting a lot more energy, and I don't really have to worry about eating that much. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of these guys that I've talked to, they're just absolutely stuffing their face with as much as they can just to get the calories that they need for these long stages. Whereas to myself, I've got weight I can burn, right? So it's definitely, to me, I think Dakar is a lot easier for privateers with a little bit more weight on them, mm-hmm. that just know how to use the bike, right? Yeah. Use their weight and carry speed. So
using the weight to counterbalance. You don't have to, I guess, if you're counterbalancing a bike, right? The science approach is or the physics approach, if you're carrying so much weight, you don't have to shift over as far in order to put the adequate amount of weight that needed to keep the bike from stepping out, or to keep the bike in a certain position. Yeah. So that's that's an interesting thing. There's a delicate balance, and I think that's where, like, in Mason's case, which, I mean, obviously he's proven to be absolutely competitive on, I mean, any bike that he's ridden up until now, whether it was the Cove or it was the RFR, makes the suspension that much more critical, I think.
Oh, for Mason, yeah, suspension is going to be absolutely key. Especially this year, like I have a sneaking suspicion they got some pretty rough stages coming up, because if they're pulling cars out of some of the motorcycle stages, I'm assuming there's going to be some pretty good rocks. And I don't know, maybe my hard enduro background hopefully pays off.
Yeah. A little bit of that mountain goat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I need Dakar to be as hard as possible, and I might do okay.
Yeah. You might need to do some training with Mike over in Kota at the Kota Rally. He's got some pretty challenging routes. That will help.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint was telling me that's an absolutely awesome race.
Yeah.
I was really wanting to go this year. I couldn't get the time off from work.
Yeah, it gets a little bit tough. The calendar gets consolidated, and a lot of it has to do with weather. And there's only so many months out of the year where you're able to ride. So it's definitely taxing when everybody. I mean, Sonora just announcing that they moved their event to March, I believe, next year. So that's going to be.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I kind of like that a little bit too. It's nice that if you could spread these rallies out. I think that's what pretty much North American rally, and including Mexico and stuff, like, we kind of need to work together for that, because it's really hard for everybody that's riding these events. Mostly everybody is working a day job that's not racing dirt bikes.
Yeah. So
it's nice to get them spread out, and a guy can actually take some more time off from work. And like my boss Cooper, he's awesome. Like, the moment I told him I was going, take whatever time off you need. But, let's try to work as much as we can up to the date. And he's been super supportive, and it's great. So it's cool to see that, they'll be a little bit more spread out. That kind of maybe opens it up that I might be able to make it to Sonora and then give that another go. But as of right now, it's Baja Rally. That's my biggest focus in Mexico now, and just super pumped to go shred that course. So.
Yeah, it's going to be, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. They've always, every year it hasn't been different. Every year that I've been, it's been the same thing. When I talk to people that have run the stages, they're like, dude, this was absolutely epic. These are amazing stages, everything. And the guys, I know they just did their shakedown. I think it was their final, or second to final, shakedown. And, that they're testing with Rallycom. They're doing all of these things. Like, they're putting in a lot of effort into these road books to make sure that they're dialed, so everybody goes down and has fun. And I think that that's, like, the quality of the event, because of that, is elevated, and and that's and especially in Baja, I mean, there's so much to see down there, so much to do, and I think that, Scotty and Mauricio have really put in, like, a solid foundation, with doing the ambient impact studies, doing all of that stuff, and making sure that that they are allowed to run in these areas that technically nobody else is allowed to run in. So I think it'll be an epic one. Did you ever get to ride with Rob as a moto medic or Chase?
I rode with Mike. I don't know if I ever rode with Rob or not.
Okay, so
I'm not quite sure. Not quite sure I have.
Yeah. So you've kind of seen the area, seen some of the terrain and stuff that they get into.
A bit, yeah. Like when I went down to Baja, you're talking Rob, Motomedic Rob.
Yeah, Motomedic
down
Rob.
in Baja.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I did a little bit of riding down there, just doing some shakedowns on the bike before Baja Rally in 2022 when I was just running support. But other than that, I haven't actually spent a lot of time riding in that side of Mexico.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Well, there's going to be some epicness to it. You're in for
David Williams said it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. They said they had some of the funnest stages they've ever ran, so nice. I'm excited for that.
Nice. Yeah, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And I agree with what you're saying, that it's super important, I think, that the events get together and kind of decide on a calendar, you know, and that way, you know, it is kind of nice that Sonora Rally is moving, because this would have been, I think, the third year in a row that it's like one right on top of the other. You got Baja Rally a couple weeks off or a week off, and then you've got Sonora Rally right behind it.
Yeah, they were just back to back. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that it suits the community better and helps with growth better than to have them spread out like that, you know, and everybody has, you know, if everybody's on the same page as far as the calendar goes, then you have people that can travel to both. You know, it's like, I think when I was at my previous employment with well, I can say now with Tesla, is that the way that the rallies were spread out initially, it was like I had just enough time off to make each one. You know, the calendar would reset, or, you know, I would earn enough time just in time to go to the next event, you know, and so that was nice. But then when it changed, then it got, you know, it was like, damn, I can't do anything the entire year because I got to save it all for, you know, this 1 month. So I think it's,
and that's, I've been noticing that a lot, and it seems like I think people are starting to catch wind on that a little bit better. And I'm really hoping just everyone, you know, like I say, it'd be nice for everything to work together, and that's the only thing we really can do to really grow rally in North America. And I think it's getting to that point now, which is really good.
Yeah. There's definitely a lot of people that are curious about it. And what about in your neck of the woods? You know, are there, you know, people are looking at what you're setting up your bike and what you're doing with your bike and asking questions, or how's that coming along?
Yeah, no, like it's almost unknown up here, aside from like, I don't know, probably the key 10 people that I could list, but you know, everyone's kind of all heard of like Lauren Tacking, and like he's kind of our Dakar legend up here, and everyone knows about the Dakar. You know, that's why it's cool to go, and people just, it's different nature when you pull up a big bike and it's got big road book on it and everything, and they really want to know what it's all about. And I think it's definitely growing. And you know, with Cove they're doing so many demo days up here, and it seems like every time someone throws a leg over one, they want to put a down payment on it just because it's so interesting, right? And I think in the future it's going to grow quite a bit up in Canada. And you know, with Mike putting on the Boreal Royale and all that, it's only going to get bigger and bigger. And it seems like there's a lot more Canadians that are interested in heading down to Mexico and doing these rallies and heading down to Kota and just all over the U.S. and just running road books. And it's just fun, you know, like it's super fun going out and doing a big cross country in Canada. And, you know, we get up to the mountains, it's 100 kilometers of corner that you only see one time. Right. And, that's a different type of fun. It's all, anytime you're on a dirt bike, it's fun, but rally to me, it's amazing where it'll take you. Yeah. And you're always a little bit lost, which I really like. So I think that's why it's growing so much up here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, technically, if you think about it, if you're on a road book that's going to be timed, yeah. After the first 100, I mean, you know what's coming up in 100 meters, which is the start of the timing. But after that,
yeah. After that, you have no idea.
You're kind of on your own. Yeah. You gotta figure it all out.
That's why it's so interesting. Yeah. No, I think that's why it interests so many people.
Yeah.
It's just a good adventure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I think, you know, there's I see the group growing because there's a lot of people, I think, also that are getting, I don't want to say tired, but they want a new challenge, you know, from the Baja side of things. You know, they don't want to be doing sprint races all the time where it's just about being on the throttle. You know, they want a little bit more of a challenge. And I mean, if rally has not proven it up until this point, you know, it's definitely I want to say a thinking man's game, but it's kind of a both. You know, you need to be able to ride a bike efficiently so that you have the brain power to be able to navigate efficiently. And it's kind of like they go hand in hand.
Yeah, it's your first rally, your eyes open up and you realize how wrong you're doing it. And then you just get absolutely obsessed with trying to figure it out. Yeah, no, like I don't know. I was basically tricked into rally because I wanted to go race the 1,000, and then Clint and Mike basically called me stupid, and they're like, "Why don't you just race rally? It's a lot safer. It's a lot more fun, and if you can just read a road book, you don't really have to ride as fast." And a little bit of that was true. I learned the hard way at Sonora.
How much, or what particularly was true?
Well, it's definitely a little bit safer than like, say, you're going out to race the Baja 1000. And I feel like it just depends how you do it, right? Like, you can go out, and if you're really good at navigation, you can slow down and do really well. And, if you're trying to be competitive and all that stuff, you got to still have that good speed, but then you have to have pretty good focus to know when to slow down and actually start looking down at your road book. And if you try to go fast and look at your road book, then yeah, you're not going to have a real good time. You got to slow down a little bit and kind of go, okay, like it's a mental game as well, right? That's hard to overcome. I'm pretty used to just twisting the throttle and looking for a flag in the trees or looking for a marker down in the desert. And now it's going, okay, well, I got no markers. I still want to go fast, but I better slow down because I can't, you can't hold flat out. Well, I can't. These other guys are aliens. They can, but I got to slow down a little bit so I can be a little more focused on the road books. I'm not quite as experienced as reading the books. So.
Well, and that's, that is that realization, right? That you got to like, okay, I got to back it down here, or you find the areas, you see in rally right now that they're highlighting them, like you got the green notes. So, they're one on top of the other. But knowing when to turn it on and off, right? When you've got to clear, 3-4 kilometers of just go, and being able to ride that versus, having to slow down, pay attention, the equalizing section, right? The one that's going to catch the fast guy off guard and is going to boost the guy that's maybe being a little bit more conservative on the bike.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Me and Scotty had a good talk about that. He said, you got to work on your ego. He's like, it's not a flat out desert race. You got to know when to slow down and look at that book and then start playing the mapping game kind of thing and figure out, okay, well, I'm thinking right away here, someone's going to miss a turn and maybe I should be a little bit more focused on that than going fast, it's hard. Like, it's really hard to do because you get some really fast, flowy stuff out there. And next thing you know, I haven't looked at my book in a while, and that happened at Sonora. And I blew a corner like a couple kilometers just because I could see dust in the distance. And I'm going, well, they're obviously on this trail. Nope. Missed a turn. That was day 2. Missed a turn right away. And it was like a little off piece into some bushes. And I just kept seeing dust, but it was a couple trails over. And I just kept going because it was just so fun. Yeah. And you're going, okay, well, I think I'm going to miss that waypoint. This turn's not making any sense. I better turn around. Yeah. So you learn pretty quick. It's interesting.
It is.
Yeah, no, it's a lot more interesting than anything I've ever done. So you kind of get addicted to it pretty quick.
Yeah, well, I will continue to quote it as like Matthew Glade said, the used gear market isn't popular for rally. So, and then that's for a reason.
That's why it's so expensive. You got to get everything new.
Yeah, exactly. But there's, now with the digital roadbook thing coming and all of that, I mean, it's going to help with the cost entry barrier, with different setups that are coming along and have been developed. But, to your point, you're right. In talking with Scotty, the ego thing is like the one time you decide that, I want to go a little fast in this section, you'd be amazed at how fast you blow a note. In quarantine.
It's crazy.
SoCal Rally, I blew the first note on day 2 or the second day that I was there for the same reason. It was just flat out and it was fun. And I'm like, oh, well, I want to open her up. And, when you think you have, when the issue is the 800 meters, you're like, yeah, I got 800 meters. We're good. That's almost a kilometer. Well, once you get moving on one of these bikes, you clear 800 meters pretty fast, so.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, you have to check your ego. You have to check your brain wanting to go like, all right, let's, warp speed, because that's usually when there's a note there waiting for you. And then the worst, or not the worst part about rally, but I see it in, the view that I have of the rally raids and watching over, when you guys compete, is I get to see the squares. I get to see if you just stay straight on this, it'll lead you back to the route. You'll be back on the road book in a couple of kilometers because it's an out and back or whatever it is. So, but for people on the ground running the road book, it's like you said, you see some dust up ahead, but you may not realize that there was 3 or 4 notes to your right or to your left that you needed to get through to get back to that. So there's definitely a game, to it. And that's how they've tried really hard at the Dakar, to help. There's people that are really good, can read a road book and literally pick up on that without having to see a map. And now you got guys that they get paid a lot of money to basically map it out and tell these guys where to cut. And now you get to rules where it's like, okay, they hand you the road book 10 minutes before or 15 minutes before the route, and you can't leave that area. So it's not like you can, hand it off to somebody so they can interpret it for you. So it's cool. They're hyper focused on leveling the playing field.
Oh, it'd be awesome to talk to some of those car navigators, like especially the old map men and stuff, would be unreal. Cause like I've tried just for fun to see if I could actually map out a section and kind of get the course and then go off like what my spot was recording and all that stuff. And I'm not even close. Like I'm way off, and you're going, man, that would take a lot of skill. Right. And, it's a different art.
Yeah.
It's an absolute different art. And like, I have an insane amount of respect for Skylar, Mason, Ricky, all those guys that can just hold it wide open and look at that book for a couple seconds and just know where they're going and just be like, okay, well, I got to turn left off piece at 143, like right away here. And like it seems like they're bang on, and like following Skylar's tracks at Sonora was crazy.
Yeah.
Like it was just, you could just tell it was effortless. And like, I had a couple good stages. So I was, third or fourth or whatever bike out, and you're going, man, like it's effortless, and you're just verifying and you're going, he's bang on. And I have a track to follow and he's bang on. I'm like, this is crazy. Like what? I don't think I'll ever get to that level where I can read that road book that well.
Yeah.
I can definitely get through a book, not bad, but like that is, it's a different level.
Yeah. To be able to do it at that speed. And I heard about him at that Sonora rally where there was some lines through the dunes. Like he was doing these like huge, massive step ups in the dunes, and some of the guys behind him were like, yeah, it's like you see the track at the bottom and then you don't see a track until the very top of the thing. And people were, just blown away by, the speed that he's carrying, to get through these stages. It's, yeah.
Following his track was crazy.
Well, and
there's a couple of them going, man, I don't know if this 501's going to get up here. But you had to carry so much speed to be on his tracks. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, man. I mean, I can only imagine, but then you think, the level that they're at, and there's gotta be, it'd be interesting to like, I think everybody talks in their helmet, right? They talk to themselves in their helmet. I think that's just a motorcycle thing that just, it just happens. It'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall, in the helmet, listening to how they're reminding their notes to not miss them, to, capture the next couple of notes and make sure they're bang on their navigation. Because sometimes, when you're talking about notes that are 10 meters apart, or 50 meters apart on a bike in second gear, that's no time. I mean, and you have to be able to navigate that quickly, because I think that's where you make up the most amount of time.
Oh yeah. It's the quick notes. There's just no mistakes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's really what you're... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say I don't think Skylar says anything in his helmet. I think it's just no noise, just knows exactly where he's going and just sitting down and probably singing, if anything. Actually, that's more. I think he was just hanging out, man.
Just doing his thing.
I'm sitting at the back, swearing, cursing, dry heaving. I'm going, man, like, this is crazy. And like, I'm not a slow guy. Like I feel like I can open it up pretty good. And like, man, I think day 3 I came in and I did one of the interviews there and like, well, how are you feeling? I'm like, I'm as wrung out as I can be on this 501, and all I can see is the dust cloud of RFR just getting further and further away, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
Like, you could put a turbo on this bike, I can't do anything about it. Yeah, they're like, it was crazy, and like I say, the lines and everything, it blew my mind. It was a lot more than I expected, and I got humbled at Sonora.
Yeah, I think that when you get to see these guys, in person and run these stages, at speed, I could see that. It's like, man, this is this is not what I thought it was going to be. But
no, not at all.
So, I mean, what have you now? Running the Sonora Rally and all that stuff. What do you? That was a thing that happened. The next year was the W2RC round. But unfortunately, they weren't able to run in the dunes. Are you going to look to maybe do some training in dunes before you go, or have you thought about that part of it?
Yeah, no. Like, I'm not really far from St. Anthony Sand Dunes, just south of the border. So they've actually got some pretty good sized dunes there. So I'll probably go spend a week down there and just get a feel for the dunes again, because I did struggle quite a bit the first dune stage, I believe it was day 4. And like, I was just just not riding them as much, right? Like, that's pretty new for a Canadian, and like, I've spent good time in the sand before, and I've ridden them a little bit before, but riding it at speed and actually trying to, like, if you don't know what you're doing in the dunes and you're trying to go fast, they become dangerous pretty quick because it just blends in. And like, I had a pretty good wreck on day 4, and I was already nursing a pretty bad injury from day 1. And yeah, like, it just showed like how quick they can bite you. So I definitely need to spend a lot more time. I'm thinking down in the dunes just to gather them again and go, okay, this is how we got to learn how to read these properly. Cause like I say, it looks like it's a straight through and then it just drops, and you can barely see it. So if you're not really focused in those dunes, they become pretty dangerous pretty quick. So yeah, I'll definitely head down to St. Anthony. Me and a couple buddies are going to go down there, and we'll go give the bike another good shakedown and try to figure out how to ride dunes again. Spend some time on that. Get used to the heat too is, I think, going to be pretty big. So
yeah, and and then that's a very interesting point. You get into like some of the dunes, at Sonora, and some of the dunes of the stuff that I've heard of in Saudi, and it's like, the change in elevation is enough to make the pressure in your ears change, from the size of them. So you think about, like, damn, you screw that up, it's going to be a long time before your wheels are on the ground again, and learning how to read the dunes, how to carve the dunes. It's almost just as tricky as it is in doing short notes, where the notes where there's a high note count per kilometer. Like, I feel like that's the same, seeing it, again, watching from 50,000 feet up, watching everybody at Sonora that year, when they, during that W2RC round on the one stage, come around to where it was a bunch of short dunes, and not being able to get a run at them, and how taxing they are on the human body and on competitors. So it's it's one of those like delicate balances, right? You want to be fast, but at the same time, you have to be super careful about it because, like you said, it blends in. Next thing you know, it's like you're free falling.
Well, that's just it. Especially like what bit me was the first little bit of the short, like, kind of smaller dune section, and it's crazy. Like, you see videos of people just absolutely shredding, and like in Saudi and all that stuff, but they're, I think, a lot bigger. And talking with Willem when he was not Rally de Maroc, Rally de Maroc, pretty sure that's what he went and did there for a qualifier.
Yeah.
He was saying the dunes there were insane. He said they were huge. And to me, I haven't obviously ridden over there, but the dunes in Sonora where it was such a light color, so everything blended in. But when you got to the bigger stuff, it was relatively easy. You know, following Skylar's lines wasn't obviously the easiest, but you could tell like he's picking the absolute biggest part of the dune because you can kind of basically gauge the other side of the dune. Mm-hmm. You know it's going to be a safer drop off. Whereas to the smaller stuff, like you can see people are scattered everywhere because they're a lot harder to read. Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, dunes are, I don't know, I can read mountains, but dunes are pretty hard to read. You got to have a lot of experience, I think, for that in order to go fast in them.
Yeah. Yeah. And then like you said, you know, then I start thinking the technical side of it. I'm like, okay, well, I wonder how, you know, I know like Oakley makes the air brake goggles and they have these really fancy lenses and they have them for like snow so that you can see the better, you know, the contrast. You know, I start thinking like, man, is it to the point where something like that is even needed on this? I mean, from a safety standpoint and from a competitive standpoint, right? Any little bit of an edge that you can get, you know, is going to make a difference. But I can't imagine, you know, and then spending days doing that, you know, it's not the easiest. So, I'd like to test some goggles and just see, because I had some tinted ones and then I had kind of prism style, like some Oakley prisms they worked really well. Mm-hmm. And like it kind of just, it heightened like the shadows. So you'd be able to really see, okay, there's a little bit of a dip here or whatever, but I don't know, like I got to do some goggle testing on that. I'm not quite sure. Yeah. I don't know what the equation is for that. I know.
Slow down, maybe.
Yeah, I know. But to what point? Because then you got to carry speed so the bike doesn't vary. I mean, yeah. And you're right. That's the Oakley Prism line of lenses. It's really crazy. Like how that lens was developed. I worked at a company where they did the demo. You know, they came in and they talked about, you know, the product and gave us kind of the rundown. And they were saying something like, it's like they have these different powders that they mix or that they make, and then they blend them into the lens to get the exact tint that they want. And it's like $10,000 for like a few grams of this stuff. And then they take like this camera that's, I don't know, some fancy ass camera out to these areas, and it's like they take pictures in the snow, they take pictures in the road, they do it in the forest, they do it in a baseball field, they do it on a golf course, just to be able to get the exact light combination and then make a bunch of lenses and then pick the best one for that. And then they say, okay, this is going to be our retail version. So you think about like how much, like, dude, it's just a pair of goggles. Chill. You know, but you think about like they put, you know, it's like the one that got me was like, oh yeah, you know, the Oakley glasses that you see these guys wearing in baseball, you know, we have the same glasses. We've got an infielder version and we've got an outfielder version. And it's like, well, what's the difference? Well, the difference is one, you've got a blue background with a white ball, and the other one is you've got green and brown and all these other colors. So you got to have, you know, the ultimate is you want that contrast. You want to see the ball at all times. And I'm like, dude, that's crazy. You know, you think about the attention to detail and all that takes. So the fact that they've applied that to what we can purchase, right, for off-road, you know, or for different sports is crazy. So,
well, it's any little edge, you know, it's, and especially, you know, like to me, I think proper goggle selection in something like dunes it's a safety thing. Like you really, like, I couldn't imagine running just clear lenses out in the Sonoran Desert, or, you know, just even clear lenses for Baja Rally, right? Like I think it's a bigger thing than we actually we think about, right? And you only really notice it when you're out there and you're going, man, like I really messed up this morning grabbing these goggles.
Yeah. This was like not the choice. These were not the move for today.
That happened a couple times out there going, man, I really messed this up. But today's going to suck. Yeah.
It's going to be a longer day than I anticipated. So, and speaking of some of the technical stuff, and we'll kind of wrap it up here, but one of the So this year, right, we've seen the preview stuff and what they're talking about, and it's the return of the chrono stage, making it even longer to make it, what do you think, what are your thoughts about that chrono stage? They debuted it last year and you're going to have to do it this year. What do you think?
I'm not quite sure what I think about that yet. I'm not entirely sure what my plan is for it. Kind of talking with a couple people trying to figure out like what the right move is for it. Right. I think it's interesting. Like, I think it's awesome that they're bringing it back, and it's going to be longer, for like Dakar for me. As hard as it absolutely can be is what I'd like to see, just because I think that'll kind of, separate the boys from the men more than anything. Right. Yeah. And it'll kind of give, guys that are being maybe a little bit more reserved, it'll kind of equalize that out a bit. And I think that's what that chrono stage is doing, so I'm not entirely sure what my game plan is going to be for that. Me and Will have been talking about that a little bit, and I have no idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
No idea. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, do you gun it and see how many of those camps you can click off before you get, before it's the end of the day, I guess there's a lot to consider, right? That's the strategy starting the stage, but then as the stage progresses, it's like, okay, I'm pretty gassed right now. Do I just chill at this one and take those 20 minutes, or do I just push forward? I mean, there's like, it's interesting that there's a lot of things that come into play. It's not just go race it. You got to be smart about it, because you got a whole nother day to do it again. Well,
that's just it. And, like for, the factory guys, I think will definitely have a different game plan. Like to me, if I was on a full-fledged factory team with mechanics and everything, I'd be going, okay, well, maybe I want to kind of ride a little bit more reserved. I don't want to do any damage to this bike, and then kind of maybe do a halfway thing. Mm-hmm. And then I can get the bike back. It's going to be maybe a longer day of the secondary. I'm going to get a little bit less rest, but, the mechanics will be able to really get on that bike. But, for myself, like I'm essentially doing Moto Mally on this bike. Like I'm not eligible for Moto Mally, but I'm doing Dakar as cheap as I can financially. So kind of all little maintenance and all that stuff for my motorcycle, I'm already taken care of. And, any large mechanicals or whatever, Cove's just agreed to take care of those. But to me, like, I think it's going to be probably a lot more valuable to try to get as far as I can. Mm-hmm. And then I'll have a little bit more time kind of the next day to really, really go through the bike. But, like it's tough, because I think that's going to actually really just, that could ruin a lot of people's races. So it's a decision you got to make. And I'm not quite sure what to do. I got to pick Skylar's brain on that. Yeah. He can give me some top secret intel.
I know. Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's, everybody's going to have a slightly different strategy based on, where they're at, in the rally, and, how gassed you're feeling when you get there. And I mean, there's definitely some thought behind it. It's not a pin it and go and see where it ends up, especially if they're going to be making it go through dunes, and, they're going to have it. And I get it. I think last year it was because I think that the fast guys got further down the road than they thought they were going to be. So then it turned into almost 2 rest days for them, right? They had 100 kilometers to go at the end of the day. Well, 100 kilometers to go, the bike's barely warmed up, and I think that is I blame that for the reason why they're opening it up to so many more miles or so many more kilometers, specifically for that reason. They want that bigger challenge for these guys.
Yeah, no, I agree. And like, I don't know. Like, I feel like there's still going to be some guys that really, really push and have a pretty, like you say, down there 2 rest days. And, I think, like Willem and I think we'll probably have a little bit of a different game plan, a little bit of a different strategy. But, I don't know, like I say that now, but I think just like anything, once you get out there and you're racing, maybe you have to fight that ego a little bit, but you're definitely going to try to push I'm going to try to ride pretty reserved for the whole event, because I just want to make sure I do my best to absolutely get to the finish. But, at the end of the day, you're a racer, and someone blows by you, you're going to go, well, come on. Got to open it up a little bit here. See what this bike can do, right?
Yeah. If you're a racer in the desert and you get that little bit of you get a peek at some dust in front of you, there's just something happens. I imagine it's the same.
I'm going to go catch that.
Yeah, exactly. The brain shuts off and the wrist takes over. Or if it's, if it's in a car and on a road circuit, that first time you catch a glimpse of that red tail light of the car in front of you getting around the corner, now it's, now you go into attack mode. So it's, it's an interesting thing. And then how much gas do you got in the tank to do that? And then
exactly, yeah.
Both literally and figuratively, because it's also, you got to watch out, fuel consumption. And there's a lot of, it's crazy how complicated it gets in a very short amount of time when it comes to strategy in this.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I think strategy for that, I think that's number one, especially when you get up to, the GP class, like it's all strategy from there.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we're
like all those guys.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And when they're talking about, there was a conversation that happened about what went down like with Sonora or at Sonora, where they had the top riders, a couple of the top riders had off. The comment was made that it's like, if I'm checking up and they're not, I'm losing time. And every time I check up, it's a second. And when you're talking about, like in a Dakar Rally, when you're talking about the final stage at the start, you're talking about, 15 seconds after 14 days of racing or 13 days of racing. They're like, yeah, that's a corner that you took a little longer, that you blew. That's, there's no coming back from that, and so it turns into a mental game. It's, there's just everything, every aspect of it, both physically and mentally is all wrapped into it. It's not just about seeing how long you can pin it, because, that in 50 miles you're getting off the bike. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, like it's, I think a lot more mental than physical. Yeah. Rally in general. Like you need to know when to let off, but at the end of the day, when you're looking at times, and like I've done that, where you're comparing times going, man, if I know I could have gained it here. I know I could have, maybe not got this penalty here or whatever. I was kind of maybe pushing too hard there, and it kind of, I missed this corner. Like it's a huge mental game, and you need to, like for guys like me, like I know I can maybe ride at about 70% and then get the book pretty much bang on, but you're losing time. Mm-hmm. Like you've got guys like, like Mason's going to be like that too. He could ride at 70% and not get anything in the book wrong and be an hour faster than me in a very short stage. Mm-hmm. So you got to kind of really go, well, maybe if I open it up to about 85, and am I going to be willing to take those kind of 1 minute? Like, am I going to gain anything if I lose a minute by blowing this corner? Am I going to gain anything for that 20 kilometer stretch? Am I going to gain that minute back and then some, or am I going to lose it? And like I say, I think that definitely gets that plays into a lot more when you're in GP, or you're really competitive in Rally 2, or that's where strategy, I think it's just number one, right? And, I think these guys, they've mastered that craft. Yeah. Mason knows exactly how fast he has to go when he opens the stage. Mm-hmm. And that's calculated. Yeah. Like he's going out there, he's not making mistakes, and he's not riding 100%, mm-hmm. but he knows if I ride at 90% and I don't make any mistakes on the book, then I can lead this stage and finish in first. Yeah. Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, once you put it all together, and then the thing that, you throw in there that he's okay with opening, which means that that pressure is, I don't want to say non-existent, but he can manage that so well, and saying, well, yeah, I'm going to be the guy opening. And, he's confident in his navigation ability. And he's like, I can open and I can navigate. and I can make it happen. And he's shown to be able to do it, which is, I mean, that is a crazy talent in its own. So
yeah, he's definitely an alien, I think.
Yeah. He's only been doing this a few years. You know, you throw that into the mix too. You know, you don't have to go back very far to find him, you know, at Scott Bright's first, you know, one of the first schools that Scott Bright was doing. You know, so it's well, I don't even know if it was one of the first ones he was doing, but you know, it wasn't that long ago before he was introduced to this by Scott Bright and those guys. So it's you know, I mean, it's definitely impressive to see. But
well, and that's, yeah, like I feel like he had good speed beforehand, and then like I feel like if you can have a good speed before you start reading these road books, if you can just really focus on your navigation, that you can do quite well at these rallies. And Mason's a really good point to that. Like I feel like he was quite quick before. You know, I didn't know him. Obviously, I didn't race with him in the past, but you know, just looking at his history of racing, like he was obviously very fast. And then he switched to rally and, you know, started going, okay, like I'm going to nerd out on this road book stuff. He kind of fell in love with it pretty quick. And now he's one of the best to read road books, I think, in my opinion. Yeah. And I don't know, like it's pretty insane how far he's gotten, how quick it happened. Like that's really cool to watch, especially being young. And like, I've never heard of anyone wanting to open up a stage. Like, put your hand up. Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you don't have to, man. No, I want to.
Yeah.
What do you mean you want to?
Yeah. How does that work out? Why do you want to sign up for that punishment? But no, I mean, that's true. But anyway, so I mean that, and you know, again, and he's the talent and, you know, going and all of that stuff. I mean, he's done an impressive job, and obviously he's caught a lot of attention from a lot of the teams. And, you know, I think we're going to continue to see the growth. So it'll be interesting. Oh, yeah. It'll be interesting to see the journey. But speaking of journey, who's on your team and helping you get to the Dakar? We know Cove Canada.
Yeah, so Cove Canada helped me out. They're doing a lot of the organization with like Jan and Cove Racing. So they've been a huge help. And, you know, like I say, it'd be cool because we're going to work together after the event and see if we can grow the brand up here and just get more Canadians on rally bikes, which is going to be pretty cool. And like I say, Montana Mike helped a lot too. Like he was kind of in contact with Cove, and I said I'm a little interested in maybe talking to him. So he pushed pretty hard for that too, and got us in contact. And yeah, it's like I say, it's a small army. You know, Scotty's really helping me, and you know, going to Baja Rally, and then Ace too. Ace is pulling my bike down, and we're going to kind of join forces for that. And he's got some pretty cool stuff planned when I get back to in February. Nice. It helps fund my event a little bit more. Helps keep me from surfing on couches to maybe renting an apartment when I get back. So that's pretty neat. Nice. Yeah, so it's cool. Like I got a small army here giving me a hand, so it's been pretty awesome.
Nice, very nice.
And then of course, you know, Mo, like all the American Rally Originals, they're all helping me out like as much as they can, which is quite a bit. Like you know, David's pretty much giving me a bed in his house and said, "Come train as much as you need," and it's been awesome. So
nice. Yeah,
no, we'll see. Like so far, the team's working out pretty good. I'm pretty excited, and yeah, so it's going to be really good.
Yeah,
like I say, it's just unlimited stress, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Once you get into it and you're like, okay, well, this is going to be the new norm. You know, this is what has to be done, and you know, to get to the event, and having that team in your corner obviously is huge. You know, helping take some of the weight off.
Well, yeah, especially just, you know, just based on merit and stuff too, and like they've all been there. They've all chased that dream too, so they kind of know what to expect and what I need to prepare for. So it's, like I say, I think knowledge is the biggest thing. Like if people can give me pointers, and feel free to reach out and give me pointers. Cause I'm pretty new to going to Dakar. It's my first time. So, it's any help is much appreciated. So yeah, no, it's been cool. I've got a couple cool companies. Like I'm trying to keep it pretty grassroots, pretty blue collar. So I got some good companies behind me that are helping me out, help fund a little bit of it. And yeah, it's been really cool. So
nice.
It's cool to see, like the whole rally community. Seems like anyone, could be anyone. The moment they know anyone's going, they're like, how can I help you?
Yeah. Yeah. You get more people jumping on board and helping with it. That's awesome. I mean, that you know, again, it goes to show the family side of it, right? The rally family side.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's absolutely unreal. A lot of these guys have only met, you know, like I met them 2022 and, you know, maybe some of them I only met one time, and they're just completely on board. So yeah, you know, you don't get that in motocross.
Yeah. Very, very, very different.
Yeah. Yeah, very, very different. Yeah.
Nice. And so, tell us about, are you on social media? Do you have, like YouTube, any of that stuff? How could people, follow along with you?
Yeah, I've got, I think my Instagram handle is Jordan Reed 811. You can get a hold of me on there. I'll be racing under my legal name is Jordan Strachan. Just so when it pops up, people know. But no, I've always raced under Jordan Reed.
Got it.
Just from my family's heritage racing in Canada, everyone just knows me as that. So I've kind of always raced under that name. But with it being an ASO event or whatever, I figured I was like, yeah, I don't want to confuse them further, so I'll just use my passport name.
Yeah.
But it's been cool. You can follow me on Instagram, or I think my YouTube's Too Slow for Pro Racing.
Nice.
Pretty good handle.
Yeah, I think so.
And then I've got cool sponsorship packages. If any companies want to reach out and help me out get to Dakar, that'd be much appreciated.
Nice, cool. And then they can get that information on your socials, or at least reach out to you.
Yeah, everything's on my social. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and then even Ace's Baja Spring Dash is on social. 10% off with my code. So
there you go.
Hit them up and come enjoy Mexico.
Yes. I know. I got a pending chat with him. I haven't talked to him in a bit, and he texted me yesterday, but I'm trying to do the, Sunday is family day, disconnect from everything, try not to use the phone, that kind of stuff. I don't know. Adult life.
Well, you still have to have a life outside of rally racing.
Yeah.
Anything rally, because it consumes you pretty quick.
It does. You could see where you start obsessing over it, and I mean, and especially with what you're about to embark on, you kind of have to be obsessed with it. So.
Oh yeah, it's not what I expected it was going to be. It's a lot more stressful. It's a lot more work just getting there. I think once you get on the bike, everything will start making sense, and it'll be a lot easier just when you can twist the throttle and go have some fun. So. I'm excited for it, and kind of enjoying the struggle currently right now. But I can see after Dakar, I think it'll be a quick trip down to Paul's, and we'll just ride trials bikes for a bit and not even really look at a big bike for a couple months.
Yeah, just to get out of that zone.
Yeah,
I can imagine. Well, awesome, sir. Well, I appreciate you taking the time and chatting with us and sharing your story. And dude, I'm looking forward to following along, seeing what you're up to out there.
Yeah. Hopefully we can have some fun out there. So no, I appreciate you having me on, man.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll see you. I guess we're going to see you at Baja Rally then in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks here. Me and another Canadian, we're going to start driving down. That'll be a good time. So I'm excited for that. Look forward to seeing everyone down there.
Nice. Well, we will definitely see you down there.
Perfect. Right on. Sounds
awesome,
good.
Jordan. Thank you very much. Have a good evening, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
Awesome, man. You too.
All right,
have a great day.
Thank you. You too. See you. Bye.
All right. Cheers, man.
Cheers.
Bye.
All right. So there you have it. That was Jordan Reed. And we're talking about his journey to Dakar. That's it's really cool, right? It is absolutely a bookmark event for a lot of people in their lives that have been following it following it for some time. And even if they haven't, once you get into the rally thing, you start to quickly realize what the Dakar Rally is and means. And I think that a lot of people are, more apt to get to the challenge. I mean, like I said, just looking at looking at Google and what the searches are and what, people want to know about, it's pretty crazy. You think like so many people are looking to do this, but what's their path? What's the way to get into it? Legitly, right? Not not what the, well, I don't know if I could use their name, but when you got something and you're feeling a little bit under the weather and you go to that one website, DMBEW, spelled backwards. Yeah, that one. And you could get a lot of information and it could be useful, but then you get decision paralysis and you get a lot of that stuff. So it's really cool to see how the rally community is pitching in and helping Jordan and helping really all the racers, and everybody that's looking to get into it. Everybody seems to be really open arms about it and trying to get more people into the sport. I do think that with land use limitations and with a lot of the stuff that's going on in the States and abroad, well, I should say abroad, it's already there. It's like soccer worldwide versus, what we got here, stateside. And I don't know, but it's pretty awesome to think, that we now have a worldwide audience. We've got people in pretty much every continent, and, and rally is existent there already. So, I'm kind of curious, maybe we do a tour of Canada. We need to get a few more guys on here from Canada and talk a little bit about what's going on there. Maybe some guys from across the pond, talk a little bit about that. Maybe, down in Australia, down in New Zealand, what's going on down there? Is there a rally scene down there? What is it? There's guys that go to the Dakar from all around the world. So there's got to be some kind of rally, stuff going on. So I really, I want to expand the channel. We're getting ready this coming year. We're looking at making some changes, looking at doing some more stuff. It's been, I know you guys have noticed if you're a regular listener to it, that the time between episodes has grown a little bit. But we're working on stuff. It's definitely a little challenging at times, but a lot of good things are coming. And I got to say that I got to give a shout out to Lizzie for helping with that and kind of promoting it and pushing. And there was days I didn't want to get up off the sofa, and I get a message from her. I'm like, all right, well, let's go do this. So it's been an interesting journey thus far, and I guess I could say we're still just getting started after 207 episodes. Anyway, that is episode 207 with Jordan Reed talking about his Dakar journey and getting started on that one. So I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you guys haven't already, remember, like, share, subscribe, do all of that fun stuff. We got a lot more coming as I open up the show. Don't forget to jump on over to the YouTube channel and get signed up or subscribed on that side. Get the bell notifications, all that fun stuff, because we got a lot of content coming your way on that side of the house. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I hope you guys, everybody is doing well and having fun out riding their bikes if it's weather's cool enough for that, and enjoying it. So remember, it'll make sense when you get there. Enjoy the ride.